So just a quick question. This is Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the Market Open. Today is currently April 21st, and as we kick off the final trading session in the week, first off I want to bring to your attention that the dollar is slumping today, so it's a little bit weak, but it is hitting some little bit of a technical support. You also have the biggest stock, Apple, gapping lower, so it's actually down over 1%. So when Apple is down, it's going to naturally be a headwind on the market, and you can clearly see in the pre-market, look at that big dump on Apple. It looks like there was news, but keep in mind that it is options expiration today, and that transpires all day until the bell closes. Keep in mind with options expirations, this isn't a quarterly one, it's just a monthly expiration, so it's a little bit smaller, but nonetheless, when there's over $1 trillion on the line, institutions will manipulate the price action of individual stocks. So perhaps Apple is gapping down on some news, and maybe they'll bring it back up, but definitely a headwind being the fact that Apple is currently down. Few stocks that we're keeping our eye on right now. I've worked out some numbers for some long trades. Apple, I like the level around 163, just basically at 163. So coming back down to this pivot again, we can look for a potential long trade on Apple. So it's quite off that level, but perhaps we may get that level again. Another one I'm looking at is BHP. BHP Global. I'm actually going to go to the daily chart for this stock. And the level I'm looking at, okay, there's a multi-factor support levels here. So we have a gap fill right around this 58.30 level. And then we also have, just checking my notes here, we have the daily 200 MA acting as support. And then we have an additional gap fill down here, consolidation, kind of your breakout zone. So lots of little support in and around this vicinity. I do like BHP for a long trade. Anything below this 58.37. So if we flush right into this gap, I will look to play this gap fill. And then we have that additional support on the daily 200 there, which I'll just mark in blue since I know that. So around 58.12, and then we have additional support at this gap fill down here. So lots of little layers layered in. I like when a day trade long has a lot of different levels of support, and we are coming from a little bit of an oversold. We have a gap down, another gap down, and another gap down. So 3-bar surge to a low is usually a little bit of an exhaustion gap. So this is actually my favorite play of the day, going long BHP. I'm also looking at a few other names. We have CSX that reported earnings. That's actually gapping up. The first level that I have on CSX is basically going to be 32.40 is the conservative level, 32.40. So I'll just draw a line there. The aggressive trader can take a pierce of 32, so around 32.03. So we'll put that level in as well, right around there. And then we have additional resistance at 32.82. So that would be a short play on CSX. Did have good earnings, so we may see some momentum come into play at some point in time. But basically you also have this downsloping resistance line that it's currently stuck underneath it. It's right up at that level. It did pierce it in the pre-market, so we'll see if it can pierce that level again. So CSX for a short, keep that on the radar. We're also looking at HCA for a short trade. This is making new 52-week highs, so whenever a stock is making new 52-week highs, we just want to be cautious because it means that a lot of funds, a lot of people chasing that relative strength play will be looking to hop on board. The level I like on HCA for a short trade is 291.89 or higher. So we'll mark the 292. So basically 291. And then you'll have additional resistance at 293.50. So those are the short plays on that particular ticker. And then let me just take a look on my notes here to see if there's anything else. Amazon's acting very, very well. I do like a short on Amazon, but I don't know if it's going to hit that level today. So basically the short level will be, it's bubbling. You see this daily 200 as MA. It's coming up into that level. There is this little bit of a beautiful resistance trend line over here. So if Amazon can actually pierce the daily 200, preferably if it could come up into this little pivot high reversal candle, that actually may be a decent spot to short. But basically if it pierces the 200, maybe around 107.65, I will look to accumulate a short trade on Amazon. This is just a day trade. I do think that Amazon can actually most likely make its way up to about 110.50. Not today, but maybe over the next week or two. ALB is a little bit of an interesting play as well. That one's getting a little bit oversold on the daily chart and the weekly chart. ALB is actually coming into some interesting pivots. So you're hitting this pivot at 189. I don't like that one. If ALB was to flush into this little low pivot here on 184.57, I would look for a long trade. And then you also have that basically a gap fill right underneath it at 182.32. So there's a couple little layers layered in there. Keep ALB on the radar. Right now it's trading at 189, so it would have to fall a little bit of a ways away. So we have about 9 minutes. China stocks are interesting too. Baidu as well, I've got my eye on that. That one's getting a little bit oversold. You are hitting daily support on the moving average. I do have a calculated level on Baidu, a nice standard deviation around 125.05 and 124.25. I'll just mark those in the charts right now. So around there, and then the other additional 124.25. I'll just mark those levels in. Baba's another one that's under pressure as well, also gapping lower. Nice 3-bar surge with another gap lower. Interesting play. The levels I have on Baba around 89.38. 89.38 would be the first one. And 89.15. Couple little layers. Not liking it as much as some of the other plays, but nevertheless it is a potential as well. So I think the best shot that we have is this BHP. That's my top setup, so I'm going to be keeping that on the radar for sure. You can flip to the intraday chart. It is getting a bounce off the lows, so you notice how it hit that first technical level intraday. It should see more downside. Hopefully it gets a little bit of a flush right now. The spiders are just creeping up late into the session. Let's do a quick check of the IWM. That's actually significantly off of the lows, and it is drifting higher, so that means probably the KRE is stronger. Keep your eye on the KRE because this is a good barometer for the overall market. If the KRE is doing well, typically the market is doing well. You are seeing the dollar bounce a little bit here, so a nice little move off the lows. The spiders right now are also trying to bounce off of the lows. I'm just going to flip my trading session back to regular hours. So notice how that technical level we gave, that was a big support level. You have hit that. It was also coincided with the low end of this range. So let me just erase that. So basically we're still range bound on the spiders. And the big question is, do we stay in this range or do we break it? As of now, looks like we're staying in it. Another little channel that I'm watching. I do have a short level on the spiders, but I'm not going to give it out yet because it's a little ways away. Basically, that'll be a big resistance trend line. The fact that we've broken it, markets love to retrace back to the breakdown zone, which is right over here, which should be somewhere in here. So just keep your eye on the spiders. Obviously, it's going to be leading this market higher and lower. So I'm going to flip back to BHP, just do a run through there. So that's coming off the lows. CSX, that's actually pulled off of the highs. We also have HCA, which is pulled off of the highs, made a high up there. ALB, which has got a nice bounce off of the lows. Actually, ALB did hit our first level. Look at that in the pre-market and has had a nice bounce. So that's the thing. That's the tricky thing about these earnings or these potential pre-market plays is they often hit in the pre-market, and then the big question is, will we get a retest in the regular market? Just gonna flip to trading hours. Want to see the gaps. So I'll keep that BHP. The spiders are bouncing tremendously here. Apple's now down just 0.093% on the session. You have natural gas trying to perk up. Oil's also trying to perk up. Healthcare is very, very strong today. Healthcare is gapped up. So markets are going to be opening in 4 minutes. We've given you the parameters. Keep it light. I'm not going to be too aggressive on a Friday. Good to see FCX under pressure today. GDX is also under pressure. We had earnings from Procter & Gamble, which came in well. We do have some economic data. I know core retail sales for Canada came in weaker than expected. We have the service PMI at 945 and manufacturing PMI at 945. Alright, so get ready for this market open soon. It's the spiders are trying to push up in the pre-market. We're at a decent resistance level right now on the SPY. Alright, 2 minutes to the open, guys. Get ready. Hopefully you've had some coffee or some tea. Meta's down on the session 1.2%. Microsoft's negative, so a lot of weakness in the mega cap tech. Nvidia's down 0.5%. The VIX is getting smashed right now again. All right. So BHP, CSX, HCA, ALB, obviously Apple as well. Keep your eye on some of those leading stocks. Nvidia's gapping lower, Tesla's gapping up. All right, guys, get ready. All right, markets are open here. Markets are open. ALB's on watch. CSX is pushing up. ALB's flushing. CSX is coming up into some good resistance. Microsoft's dropping pretty hard here. Walmart's pushing up. ALB. Just looking at Tesla's up 1.4. Amazon surging up 2.1. Nvidia's trying to push up now. Got the dollar acting well. Microsoft's falling sharply lower, guys, so that's going to weigh in on this market. Microsoft is under pressure. Keep ALB on the radar. Spiders are under some interim pressure here. A little bit of interim pressure. ALB is coming down. BHP is coming down. HCA is pushing up into a key technical level. HCA almost hit our level. CSX is pushing up. I do like CSX coming up into a key resistance at 32.40. So keep that on the radar. We will short CSX, or I'll short CSX. It's hitting resistance 1, but I don't want that level. I want to see if we can get another push up in CSX here. And it is pushing. BHP still coming down. I'm still very intrigued about that. You have the spiders pushing up. So 32.39 or higher, 32.40. CSX is pushing, BHP's coming down, spiders are pushing up again. Nvidia, gold, markets are responding here, responding well. Keep BHP on the radar, that one's coming down nicely. Tesla's giving up most of its gains. Oof, look at that pullback in HCA. Almost hitting that technical level. That would have been sublime entry. BHP's coming into our levels, guys. So BHP, that's coming in. CSX is pulling off the radar. CSX is pulling off the radar. ALB I'm still interested in. Spiders are still acting well here, trying to push higher. Bank of America's negative. Amazon's surging. Let's take a look at that Amazon. I do think Amazon's almost into that technical level. A little bit higher. It needs to tag that 200, pierce it. Alright, BHP's coming back down. Let's keep that on the radar. Alright, I'm going to have an order placing in for BHP because that's coming in. Spiders are under a little bit of pressure. HCA is hitting our resistance level. I don't want it because it had a big pullback. I want to see if it can push actually higher now. Alright, keep BHP on the radar. That one's going to be pretty much an entry that is approaching very, very quickly here. Very, very quickly on BHP. ALB is also coming into first support zone. Keep your eye on ALB. That's coming into a nice little area. ALB is hitting that first support. I want it around 184.25. Let's see if we can get one more little flush. It's bouncing now. They are bouncing it. Another little level on XPO. XPO is actually surging up higher. I like it at that double top zone. All right, ALB is almost at the level, guys. 184.25. 184.25. Nvidia's under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. BHP is coming back down now too, guys. So considering ALB is bouncing, I prefer BHP if it comes down because we're not getting as much buying pressure in that stock. So keep BHP on the radar. I'm going to go with a 1/5 position. Come on. Flush it lower, BHP. Flush it lower. Apple's bounced off of the lows, but now it's trying to fade off of the highs again. Wow, that was a big move on. Alright, BHP is coming in, guys. BHP is coming in. It's coming in hot here. Come on. Let's see if we can get it to flush into our level. KRE is acting very weak. Nvidia's lagging the market right now, down over 0.93%. Apple's trying to bounce. Tesla's reversed. Just showing you the signs of the market. QQQ's coming back down again. Alright, BHP's flushing into our level, guys. AMD's down 1.5. Intel's down. So weakness in the semis. That usually means that the market's going to trade lower. Let's see what we can get here on BHP. It's almost at our level. Markets are bouncing now. Spiders are getting a bounce. BHP is just bouncing before our level, just slightly. It's still valid. It's still valid though. Vale's down. Baba's hitting a technical level right now. Baba is hitting a technical level. I had a level on Baba at, let me just see what it's at, trading at 89.26. 89.15 on Baba. I have a technical level on 89.15 on Baba, but let's just see if we can trade this Baba stock as well. 89.15 is just being tagged on Baba. I'm not long. I am not long. I repeat, I'm waiting a little bit more. I actually want to just prefer to see if I can wait for this BHP. That's my setup that I've been eyeing up. That number is a little bit more technically sound. Nasdaq has a strength coming in from Microsoft and Apple. They are lifting this market higher. BHP is still coming down, guys. Baba looks interesting at a Pierce of 89, but I just want to play it conservatively today. It is options expiration. Gold's catching a big bid. The dollar's coming down. XPO is a short at that 45.20 double top zone. Yields have softened quite substantially. Come on, BHP. They're so close. They're teasing us right now. They're teasing us. Here it comes, guys. Here comes BHP. Keep your orders ready. Oh, they're bouncing BHP just before. It's still valid though. Let's see if we can get another little flush. We're so close. We're about 8 cents away, 6 cents away. Here we go, guys. Apple's getting a big bounce. Markets are bouncing here. BHP is just a few cents away. I'm not taking it early. Some people may be trying to front run, but I'm waiting. I want my number, and if I don't get it, I don't get it. Trying to bounce it. Still looking at BABA. That's pierced that 89 level. BHP is very close. Apple's trying to rally up to the positive side here. One fifth position on BHP. That's what I'm doing. Spiders are under. Alright guys, I just went long BHP. 58.37 fill. 58.37. Alright, game on. Let's see what we can get here. We're going to look for about, we can probably get about 20 cents at the minimum on that. Next ad level will be basically around 58.10. 58.10. Actually, we'll do it at 58.04, the next ad level. 58.04 and then 57.60. So we're long BHP. We're getting a small bounce there. Good to see. Nvidia is bouncing. The whole market is bouncing. I am eyeing up BABA here as well. Banks are under pressure. Crypto stocks are under pressure as well. Home builders are seeing a little bit of sell side pressure, but still holding up. BHP is trying to hold up there. Keep XPO on your radar too. There's a double top short at 45.20. 45.20. That's had a phenomenal move to the upside. BABA's a really interesting play here as well. It's gapped lower. I do like this level right now that it is hitting. So let's just mark that low pivot. This level is decently, this is a decent level on BABA. I'm not long. I'm just going to play it cautiously, but that is a technical level. I'm just going to manage this BHP and see if we can get any sort of winning trade on that. HCA is coming back down. Nvidia is trying to push up, so the Qs are trying here. The Qs are definitely trying. Still interested in ALB around 184, 180, pierce of 184. BHP is having a nice bounce here, guys. BHP is bouncing tremendously. Oh, big sell side candle came in the market there. So that's what happened there on BHP. But at least we know there's buyers. It did hit that first upside target of 20 cents exactly. But I want a little bit more. Let's see if BHP can come back. The dollar is surging. Wow, that data probably just came in. Very, very strong. The services PMI blowing. Manufacturing PMI coming in hot. Spiking the dollar. Look at the DXY. Look at that surge. Holy, that's what happened to the market. So just what I'm going to recommend is now, actually, well, let's let this trade ride. We are into a decent level here, but the dollar is surging. Holy, is the dollar surging. Now short trades are definitely favorable, more so because the dollar is just moving up in full force. What a pop in the dollar. BHP is still holding our level. At least we know there's buyers there. But with the surging dollar, it's going to make it very, very difficult. Very difficult. So BHP is still on watch. XPO is pushing up. XPO Logistics is pushing up into a big, big resistance point. Gold had a big, big reversal. That's all the dollar. That is all the US dollar right now. Apple's now coming down. Markets are acting weak. Nice little bottoming tail forming on BHP. Let's see what we can get out of here. It's hitting our target now, our first target of 20 cents. Look at this little level. This is decent. This is very, very good, guys. This is what we want to see. And this is rallying all in the face of a stronger dollar right now, surging dollar. Apple's coming down, so tech's really getting hit right now. Let's see if we can squeeze a little bit more out of this trade. Come on, BHP, push up a little bit more. All right, look at BHP bouncing here, guys. See what we can get. Come on. Markets are pushing up, so spiders are acting well here. Amazon's still holding most of its gains. Cisco just turned positive. Nvidia is trying to rally back to the positive side. All right, we have BHP surging up higher now. This is good to see. If we can keep pushing up, Apple's still remaining weak. Come on, BHP. A little bit more. Let's squeeze off this level. Dollar's still acting well. Yields are trying to push up here. We may have a 10-minute bottoming tail on BHP forming. We'll know in 1 minute. We're pushing up. We're pushing up. Alright, guys. I am out of BHP. 58.61. That is a nice little profit there for us. 58.61. I am out, and I'm just closing this trade because I'm seeing that dollar surge. We can always get into something lower. 58.61. So that is a 24 cents trade. I had 450 shares there, so that's a nice little win in our pocket. Alright, that's a good little level there. Now the next level, if it came back down, we can play it. But let's see what else we have. I'm liking this XPO for a short. It's approaching that double top resistance at 45.20. 45.20 is the level. Just mark it there. Spiders are still holding up. Apple's seeing a lot of weakness though right now. Let me see if there's any other trades. Vale, let's take a look at Vale. That one's had a bounce kind of like the same as BHP has had. Let's see what else we got. Snapchat's acting well. Intel's under a lot of pressure right now. Pay attention to those volume trends as well. That's going to be crucial to day trading, making sure you don't get squeezed in the wrong stock. AT&T's had a big bounce. Tesla's back to the negative side. BHP, there is a potential that we can play it on a retrace of that little bottoming tail. But that was a good exit. Look at that exit. I mean, we picked it at 58.60, 62. BHP is coming back down. Look at this spider sell. That's a big, big spider sell. So we can actually potentially pay BXP again. Let's see if it can pierce that level. I am interested in playing it again. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a pierce. On BHP, it's still a great technical level. Dollar's surging. Look at that dollar. This market could be in trouble today. This market could be in trouble today with that dollar. Look at this dollar going. Holy. Spiders are dumping. Dollar's pumping. Alright, there's the pierce on BHP. I'm going to play it on the long side again. I just got filled at 58.37. 58.37. The same entry as last time. The same entry as last time. And it is piercing that level now. That's okay though. Let's see if we can get the next ad level on that would be, so I'm at 58.37. Let me just see here. We're approaching that 200 MA at 58.16. Next ad level will be at 58.08. So let me just erase that, bring that down. So 58.07 will be the next ad level on BHP. It's coming down now more. Dollar's ripping. The dollar is ripping. Q's just made a new low, intraday low. BHP is catching a minor bounce. It hasn't tagged the daily 200, which makes me a little bit skeptical that it probably wants to do so. But let's just see what transpires here. Bitcoin and crypto are holding up fairly well. Look at this dump on gold. What a dump on gold. Whoo! Damn. That's nasty. That is nasty. Alright, so BHP, keep that on the radar because we are long again. Dollar softened slightly. Gold is catching a small bid. I wonder how the GDX is doing after that. GDX is getting slaughtered. That's great for a little short trade. XPO, ALB's coming back down. Apple's trying to get a small little bounce. Spiders are catching a small bounce here. The Qs are still acting weak. Banks are catching a bounce. Good thing we stayed away from BABA for now because that is actually testing the lows right now. But the dollar should take a breather. It should take a breather, but market makers are still buying this market up. They are still buying this market all the way up. XPO is pushing up. I do like XPO. Let me check some of my other stocks here. BX is under pressure. Let's check these home builders. They've pulled off the highs. Silver's getting wrecked right now. Riot is getting hit as well. There's a level on Riot at that gap fill that's kind of intriguing around 1058. So we can pay attention to that. So BHP is heading lower, guys. BHP is heading lower. BHP is coming a little bit lower, so we're going to add around 58.08. It's approaching that daily 200. Dollar's still holding most of the gains. I'm looking at Riot for a long as well. Riot, RIOT is the ticker. Let's flip back to this BHP because we're going to have to add again. So BHP is coming back lower now. There's still a 10-minute little reversal that's intact. Obviously, there's 4 minutes left on the candle. We're now approaching that daily 200 at 58.16. It's almost approaching that. Qs are still fighting off. Apple's struggling. Nvidia's struggling. AT&T is still holding up. Apple's still down quite substantially. Nvidia's down 1%. I'm interested in Riot as well at 1058. RIOT. RIOT. So I am interested in Riot as a long at 1058. And then there's even a better level at 1026 if we really start to see crypto flush. Let's take a look at BABA again. BABA's still coming down. Let me try to work on another level on BABA. Spiders are trying to bounce here. So BHP is getting a bounce here. Coinbase is kind of interesting, but not going to trade that yet. SMH is getting demolished right now. So the SMH is under a lot of pressure. BHP is catching a small bounce here. So BHP is bouncing. We're slightly out of the money, but it is bouncing. It should get a decent bounce, especially if the dollar softens a little bit. We're seeing XPO still holding most of its gains, pushing up. I am interested in a short on XPO. ALB is coming back down. I do like ALB for a long trade. Alright, BHP is pushing up here, guys. So we're just going to manage this trade now. Still interested in ALB at 184.25. But we have been consolidating a little bit. But the level's still decent. Around 184.25. Apple's bouncing here. Let's see what else we have going. HCA is just slightly off of our level. Baidu, LIT, CSX, ALB. Let's take a look at STX. I know that was gapping lower. That one's had a decent bounce. Still watching ALB. So just the one winner in the books for us. Spiders are struggling again. We're seeing a lot of sell side pressure. Got rejected off the hourly 50 moving average intraday. Ooh, Nvidia's testing the lows, making new lows here. Bitcoin's now under pressure. So this might be a trend day to the downside. Qs are getting demolished right now. There's a gap fill in the Qs around 313.03 that we can play on the long side. So keep the QQQ on deck. There is a gap fill on the QQQ just above 313. Looks like it wants to head there. Believe it or not, it looks like 313.03 is a level where the Qs want to go to. Microsoft's getting demolished right now. Take a look at Microsoft's chart. making new lows, catching some technical support now, but nevertheless still under a lot of pressure. BHP just tested the lows again, but hasn't hit our second ad level. We're still just hovering here. We're still just hovering. It hasn't tagged the 200 yet either, so we're waiting on that. Dollar's still creeping up. Apple just made a new intraday low, so did Microsoft. Very interesting price action. Very interesting. This looks like it's going to turn into a full broad market sell-off. I'm seeing weakness pretty much creep into all the sectors, which means that this could get nasty. But it's still early. The volume right now is still fairly light, and it is options expiration. You still have people playing 0 DTEs. BHP is just hovering. It's not at our next ad level. I'm still interested in it though. We're now at that 10 o'clock time frame. Just one winner in the pockets for us. There's still strength in McDonald's, weakness in Nvidia, weakness in some of the financials, but they are bouncing off of the lows. Spiders are trying to test and make new lows here. Spiders new lows. Spiders are testing the lows and making new lows here. BHP is coming down some more, so get ready. 58.08 is the next ad level. 58.08 or 58.07, basically 30 cents lower. Nvidia is still testing the lows. XOM, natural gas, is even under pressure now. That's about to roll over and look to go to the negative side. Volatility starting to creep up. BHP is about to tag the daily 200 moving average, so keep that on the radar. Dollar's still acting exceptionally well. Looks like it's trying to break out of its little bull flag pattern. BHP is getting a small bounce here. Microsoft seeing a little bit of buying pressure coming in. Microsoft actually put in a little bit of a 20-minute bottoming tail on its first candle, and now it's done a full retrace. So that's actually a potential long trade with a tight stop loss. Basically a close below 283, and you stop out of that trade. Seems like a good risk to reward setup, but the Qs are still weak. Dollar hasn't really let up yet. The spiders almost have a full hourly engulfing candle. And I do have a level of support on the SPY. But basically the SPY, it looks like it wants to charge to 408. That's the gap fill. 408. AT&T has had a good retrace back to the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern that has triggered. GDX still rolling over. Microsoft still under a lot of pressure right now. Trying to bounce. Spiders still near the lows. And the thing about the spiders is if we take out these lows here, I mean, it looks like you want to head to this gap fill down here. There will be probably a bounce before. There's some support on the spiders right at the low of this channel around a pierce of 410, 490, 409.60. Right now the spiders are catching a small bounce. So is BHP. I think we look for the same amount on BHP. Basically about 20 20 to 25 cents more if we can, but the dollars continue to surge, yields are continuing to climb. So this could still be a trend day to the downside. Ethereum's under a lot of pressure trying to break that 1900 level. Apple just made a brand new low. Copper's under pressure. Freeport McMoran's under pressure. So it's good to see a lot of our shorts are now starting to pay. BHP's bouncing. Natural gas is wicking up. And again, it's options X, so these markets could reverse and test the highs. They could make new lows. Really, anything is possible at this point in time. Anything. Don't count anything out. It's all about options. Max Pain, I believe there's probably 1 to 2 trillion that expires today. Institutions want to make that expire worthless. But as of now, the markets are a little brittle and the dollar's surging. So it's potentially looking like Max Pain may be around to the downside. People are getting a little too complacent at this point in time. Dollars at the highs of the day. Healthcare is coming in. Seeing a nasty hourly topping tail forming on the XLV. The Qs are getting a good bounce now, so that should lift the market. Here comes BHP. Potential 10-minute intraday bottoming tail on the SPY. Alright, here comes BHP again. But Apple's still weak. That's dragging on the market substantially. BHP is pushing up. We're almost in the money on BHP. Let's see if we can get some follow through. KRE still acting very weak, but trying to bounce as well. Bitcoin's still under pressure. So energy stocks are getting a bid. So is the full market. We're flat on BHP now. Let's see what we can get out of this trade. Meta's under pressure today. Looking to close potentially under the 7 or the 20 daily moving average. And it hasn't closed under the 20 daily moving average since basically late February. So it has been an absolute powerhouse. But a big bounce coming in the spiders right now, which is helping our BHP long, but Apple's still lagging. Microsoft is still lagging. China stocks are still lagging, but seeing a little bit of buying coming in. Tesla's back to the positive side. It's getting a nice little bounce. People are trying to buy up Tesla. Rivian's negative though, so a little bit of a divergence between the electric vehicle stocks. Let's take a look at this XPEV. That's also kind of a sympathy play to Tesla, which is moving in lockstep. It's still down, so perhaps that might go green today at some point. I see a gap fill up there that looks enticing. So again, BHP's just off of our level, basically slightly out of the money. Riot is looking interesting for a long. The dollar just made another surge higher. So there's big resistance at 102.13 on the dollar, 102.13 on the DXY. is big resistance. You can see we're kind of into that level now. I'll actually adjust it just a tad so it's in line with that pivot there. Apple's coming down again, so that's going to weigh on the market. As long as Apple remains weak, it's going to be difficult for these markets to get a meaningful bounce. But they're trying. They are trying. JP Morgan getting a nice little bounce. Netflix is under pressure. Silver's under pressure. Home builders, commercial real estate is also under pressure. Home builders are starting to sell off pretty nicely right now. Alright, BHP is moving up here, guys. Let's see what we can get out of here. So hopefully we can squeeze out like 35 cents on this trade. 35 cents would be decent. Now that the initial sell is almost complete, let's see if we can squeeze 35 cents off of this trade. Dollar's softening a little bit, so we may be able to. CSX is coming in from the highs. Natural gas is still positive, up 1.71%. It's weird to see UNG negative when nat gas is up. I don't know why over the past couple sessions UNG's actually shown a little bit of a divergence. That's very intriguing. Alright, BHP is pushing up some more now. Let's see what we can get on BHP. We're in the money nicely. Let's see if we can get another little push up here. Come on, BHP. But it's a nice move off the lows. Spiders are still hanging in there. The dollar's softening, so that's going to help our BHP trade to even push higher. So I want to see if we can squeeze a little more juice out of this one. Markets are getting a nice little bid. Energy stocks seem to be catching a nice little bid here. So BHP is hitting almost our target 1. Let's see if we can squeeze a bit more. It's a nice technical level for a decent bounce. Alright guys, I'm out of BHP, 58.62, 58.62. It could probably go to the next level, but I'm just going to pull my profits here, 58.62. That is another 25 cents to us. I only had 300 shares on that one, but that's still decent. So that's a nice little 2 winners on BHP. A little bit of easy money in the first 2 hours of trading. Shouldn't say it's easy money. Did a lot of little number crunching in the after hours, but that's nice. That's a nice win. Alright, let's see what else we can find now. Let's see what else we can find. Riot's catching a little bit of a bounce, so that's definitely due to the dollar softening. And this is where it's interesting to see these markets, how they shape up. Microsoft's bouncing, Apple's getting a little bit of a bounce, but you would have expected a bigger bounce with the big pullback that's happening in the dollar. Maybe we can look at Amazon as a relative strength play if we get some consolidation pattern. But this type of sell-off on Amazon looking like it actually wants to come lower, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Look at this move on BHP. That was sublime trade. That was sublime. But a nice little trade. I'm watching Riot still. That's interesting. It's intriguing. It's just off of this gap fill level at 1058. So we'll see what we can get there. Oops. Sorry. Went on the wrong chart there. So the dollar chart is there. Oh, look at that sell on BHP. Nice exit. Nice exit. And we can play this again, believe it or not. I would love to play it at the daily. We never tagged the daily 200 at 58.16. So I'd love to see it flush a little bit lower. But let's just wait. I'll keep my eye on that. Riot is also coming back down again. So keep Riot on watch for a potential long trade. Let me just change this to white. Red seems more like sell pressure. So I'll let you know if I go long Riot. Bitcoin's under pressure. Regional banks are under pressure again. So definitely weakness in this market. Let's see how JP Morgan's doing. That's holding up. Bank of America's holding up. Wells Fargo's holding up, but still all negative on the session. Still all negative. Meta's under pressure as well. That's pretty much testing the lows of the chart. Keep Riot on watch. Riot is on watch for a potential. Spiders are still just consolidating. Natural gas is trying to perk back up. That's good to see. It's actually putting in a nice potential bullish pattern to move higher. Alright, keep Riot on the watch because that one's coming in nicely. Markets are getting a nice little bounce here. Spiders are pushing up. Big push on the spiders here. And that's all because the dollar is softening. Let's see what else we have. Massive move in the spiders here. Big push. And that's because Apple got a massive push. The Qs are roaring right now. Definitely a big move on the Qs. Wow, massive push on the spiders. So Nvidia is trying to go green. Apple's still down 0.73%. Microsoft's lagging. Keep XPO on the radar. So Riot never hit our level, so that's pretty much off the table. We like this XPO at 45.07 is the actual official double top. So we may let it pierce that level. But definitely keep XPO on watch. Dollar softened quite substantially. Gold is catching a big bid now. That's also helping crypto. Ethereum still lagging the crypto market. So Ethereum was the leading crypto during that big bull run. And now it seems to be lagging just slightly. Nvidia is trying to push up to the green side. Markets are pushing up. Spiders, the dollar's collapsing here, so the markets are roaring to the upside. That was a big push on the spiders. A nice push on the SPY. Alright, if the spiders keep pushing, we do have a potential short trade on the SPY. It's much higher though. It's around the 413.40 level. 413.40 level. But we'll see if we keep pushing. Volatility, the VIX has gone negative. The VIX is back down to the negative side. SMH has caught a pretty big bid. Home builders are still lagging slightly. Seeing more sell side. Home Depot's moving up. Dollar's catching a small little bounce now. The spiders are at some decent resistance. We'll see if it can get through it. May need some sideways consolidation before it does that. Let's take a look at the SMH. That's had a nice move off the lows. Spiders are seeing a little bit more selling right now. It's approaching that 10:30 time frame, and we'll see. Let me just do a quick volume check to see what's going on here. Scrolling through some other names quickly though. So right now on the spiders we're trading just 11.57 million shares. That's really nothing. We may see more volume increase later on in the day when we get closer to that options X expiry, but for now it's fairly light volume. Riot has had a pretty decent move off the lows. Netflix is getting a good bounce. Silver, gold, everything's pretty much bouncing for now because the dollar has really pulled off of the highs, and the dollar I believe is just slightly positive. Meta seems to be struggling quite a bit today. Maybe another round of selling approaching in the spiders. Take a look at the SPY here. The level that I want to show you that we're struggling at right now is if you draw a trend line from this pivot high to basically that pivot high. This little breakout zone, almost a retest here, just missed it. Big breakdown zone. So that's where the spiders are struggling. But I have a short level at just above 413 on the spiders. On my actual chart here, it's around 413.40, give or take. So right now you can see the spiders are struggling. Apple's also struggling. Let's do a check on that IWM. IWM is still down 0.16%, but trying to hold on here. Basically on the IWM, you're just doing a wedge pattern intraday. We'll find out. Whichever way this wedge breaks, if it's to the upside, you wait for consolidation to go long. If it's to the downside, you wait for consolidation to go short. So you have to kind of stay neutral when you're inside of this wedge. The larger term time frame is bearish, so it does favor a break lower. But again, it all comes down to the volume. Options X, still looking at ALB for a potential long. That's had some pretty decent gaps, but it never quite satisfied my level, which makes me think maybe it can come back down. XPO still on watch for a short trade. Now approaching that 10:30 time frame. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes, but we've had two winners in our pocket. It's a Friday. I'm not going to stay tied to the screen here. We are seeing Apple starting to come down a little bit more, so more sell side pressure in the larger companies. Natural gas is starting to fade. So the spiders are just consolidating at the high of the range. Super light right now. Natural gas is fading. It's fading with the dollar. XPO Logistics is coming up into our target range here. Now, because we consolidated, we may want to let it, it's at 44.30. It's about 43.50. It's about a 50-cent consolidation, so. Double top is at 45.07. I do like it still, but I would love to see it pierce and get a little bit higher to short it because the spiders are acting well right now. Apple's pushing up, Qs are pushing up. Nat gas is fading right now, just stuck between the daily 50 and the daily 7. Riot Blockchain has had a massive, impressive move off the lows. Spiders are continuing to push up. So it's a huge move for the spiders. Led by big cap tech rallying substantially. Microsoft is trying to go positive. Nvidia, I believe, is almost to the positive side, so they are trying. Natural gas is rolling over some more now. Look at this BHP move look at that BHP move. That's still climbing. Still climbing. Oops, sorry. Alright, we're seeing healthcare fade off of the highs right now. The dollar's still fading off the highs. It's still slightly positive. The 20-year yield is positive. The 10-year yield is up a few basis points. The 2-year yield is slightly positive, bouncing off of the 10-year. Take a look at this 2-year yield. We can clearly see that there's some support. Look at that technical bounce right off the daily 200. That's like picture perfect. And what this tells me is that we're going to likely consolidate above this range, and it likely means yields should push up. I still have, at the minimum, this gap fill in the 2-year yield should be satisfied at the minimum. We are seeing the spiders under a little bit of pressure, the likes of BHP getting rejected off of that resistance. Take a look at BHP, take a look at Apple. And now we need to see a bigger directional move take place before we can get in some more trades here. Walmart's an impressive chart. That has just been flying, soaring and roaring. JP Morgan's down 0.5%, but trying to climb to the positive side. China stocks have had a fairly decent bounce. Apple's trying to fade. Meta seeing potentially a little bit more selling. But the spiders, nothing wrong with the spiders right now. They're just consolidating. And the spiders are on the positive side here. But with Apple being negative, that's going to be a market headwind. Definitely not a tailwind. Definitely a headwind. Apple's still trying to bounce here. All right, it's now approaching that 10:30 time frame. My recommendations is to just keep it simple. Don't try to overleverage yourself on a Friday. You never want to lose on a Friday. Again, it's options X, so this market could rip, it could drop. Realistically, we don't know where that max pain pressure is unless you have some really thorough insights into the institutional investing world and can calculate trillions and thousands of dollars worth of stocks. On that note, again, if the volume trends are light, typically it's not favorable to short. The shorting period is pretty much now from the open to 11. Even 10:30 gets a little bit iffy with what we're seeing in the spider volume and the Q volume. So again, just keep it simple. If you get a bullish pattern set up, you can play that on the long side. But bearish patterns on the shorter side are typically not as favorable in this lighter volume environment. But at this point in time, I'm not really seeing any other trades because the market's just kind of dying down here. Typically in the last hour, power hour, you do see a lot of individual volatility. A lot of stocks will pretty much settle into the area that they should be closing at, but you will see a lot of this institutional tug of war happening later in the day that'll send stocks to that max pain level. So on that note, congrats on the congrats on the 2 wins, the 2 long trades today on BHP. Nice little chunk of change in our pockets within the first hour of trading is always nice to have on a Friday. So congrats on those. Thank you all for tuning in, and definitely enjoy your weekend, because I do think that as we head into next week, the earnings volatility is going to be immense. We have some real heavyweights that start in the after hours. And then there's also economic data that's smacked bang in there. And then just keep in mind, the week after that, what do we have? The FOMC interest rate hike next meeting from Jay Powell. On that note, thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend.